Well, good afternoon and welcome to Seattle's East Side Real Estate Podcast. I am Dan Edwards, your host, and I'm here to provide the inside scoop on living, working, and playing across the greater East Side area, including the greater Seattle. It is Wednesday, March 13th, 2024. We're coming to you live on Facebook and YouTube. Feel free to like, subscribe, and share our live podcast today. If you are listening to this where all other podcasts are, like Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more, please do rate this podcast. And if you're ever interested in sharing some of if you have a local business here in the greater Seattle area, or if you've got some great relevant real estate tips and tricks that you want to share with our community, please do reach out to us. You can do so via any of the social media streams or Google Dan Edwards Realtor. You'll find me. We've got a great show today. We're going to start off with a Real Talk segment discussing buyer's tips for an interesting market. It's definitely an interesting market. And then we're going to talk with our good friend Tucker Maxwell. We're going to be talking about how the current Fed statements, current inflation, how that's affecting interest rates. And then we'll be welcoming our guest, Claudia Arregoytia at Brilliant Health Institute. She's going to be sharing with us she's going to be demysthifying some of the weight loss myths that are out there. So grab a pen and paper. We're going to jump into our Real Talk segment. I'm going to welcome in our good friend Tucker Maxwell right now. All right, so for our Real Talk segment, I thought it would be good to kind of take a couple of different perspectives. As a lender in this market, you've been doing this for a while. As a real estate agent in this market, I've been helping folks for a while. But what are some tips that buyers can take away, aside from the standard kind of tips on how to have success in this market? And there's a lot of different things you can do, but the first thing we're going to start out with is just be ready. And when it comes to being ready, there's a lot of different things involved. The cycle of a home purchase, generally speaking, is about 18 months. Are you seeing that from your side when you have the individuals that have an idea of buying a house? What are you seeing from a cycle there, Tucker?
Yeah, we're seeing it's moving quick. I think with interest rates being where they're at, the people that are applying for a home loan, they're ready to buy, they want to buy, and they're ready to go. Whereas when interest rates are down, you have more looky-loos, people that are kind of kicking the tires. But yeah, right now it seems things to be moving quicker than normal.
Yeah, and maybe I'm putting it in a little different sense, but from the time somebody starts to consider, hey, should we buy a house, to the time they actually do so is about 18 months. Now, it may be different. Once they get to that pre-approval section, that's where we know they're serious, because essentially you're handing over your financial information. So one of the things for being ready that I always like to do is what we call a buyer strategy session. And that really is about kind of helping the buyers discover what they want from what they need and what the market will provide, right? So from the same standpoint, what are some things people, before that pre-approval process, what are some things some people can do on the finances in order to be ready?
Yeah, so one is to know their numbers, know how much are they spending each month on discretionary items versus necessities. So that same kind of conversation, but is Netflix and Hulu and all these subscriptions absolutely necessary as compared to a cell phone bill? So kind of looking how much money's coming in, how much money's going out each month, and what does that cash flow look like? Outside of that, earn money. So stay employed, keep your job, and save money, because as we know right now, money is really what will help you buy homes, increase earnest money, handle inspection fees, things like that. So save money, stay employed, and know your numbers.
Yeah. And also too, this time of year, people are finishing up their taxes. So getting your taxes done, I think, is another kind of preparation thing. But of course, we can now talk about that be ready part with this, the pre-approval process. So pre-approval process, it involves a lot of kind of assembling all this stuff. So let's say you've saved off all your money. I've seen Tucker get people pre-approved in a matter of days, and I've seen some where it takes a little bit of time. Generally, the timing is usually on the consumer. But also too, if it is, what are some of the more unique ones that will require some time?
You nailed it, taxes. So self-employed borrowers or people that have rental properties, if we're trying to use income on a Schedule C or Schedule E within their tax returns, it takes time for them to meet with their CPA, file that, have the IRS accept the return. So that can take some time. Variable hours. So somebody that works an hourly position or part-time, if they've recently switched jobs and we need to reestablish some history of the hours that they're working, that can take some time as well. And then the big one is if we need a certain number of dollars for down payment in order to qualify for the home they want to buy, it may take some time to save money.
Yeah. And I think it's important to talk about those specific nuances, because a lot of times if you go out looking at homes and you find the perfect home and that's a hang up, you're going to lose that opportunity. So definitely doing the heavy lifting. We don't ever do any, I don't allow somebody to hire me yet unless they've gotten pre-approved. So, and that's really an important part. So next up is to get creative. Now, this one, I kind of had to step outside the box a little bit. When it comes to finding a home in a market that has low inventory like we do, you really do need to think a little bit differently about finding a home. If the only thing you do is search on the internet or assume that your agent is going to send you listings, you may miss out. What are some of the more creative ways that some of your potential clients have found homes, Tucker?
Off market. So, identifying a neighborhood or an area that they want to live in and starting to write letters and knocking on doors and saying, we want to buy your home. And before they've even thought about selling, and maybe convincing somebody that didn't necessarily think they were a home seller, offer them the home. And then I think also understanding that it's a stepping stone type game. So if we are looking for that dream home, maybe we can't get there today. And so maybe it's settling for something to just get on the train, to start building equity, to then eventually trade up to that forever home. But I think there's a lot of different ways that people can get creative and still win in a competitive marketplace.
Yeah. And, real estate agents have resources, but also too, as a vested home buyer, you can get out on the weekends and evenings and preview some neighborhoods that you're like, I really like this neighborhood. And then go to social media and see if that neighborhood has a neighborhood community group. By popping into that neighborhood community group, you may say, hey, I am ISO in search of, anybody that's thinking of possibly selling. Now, I want to add a caveat there is this is much more powerful too when you do the last thing, and that is hire a professional. So I am suggesting your professional should be creative enough to help employ these as a tactic that you do together. Identifying a neighborhood, sending out mailers, sending out handwritten notes, knocking on doors. But hiring a professional is where you're going to make sure you get a fair deal and have somebody there strongly negotiating. I have seen many people, buyers, go into a situation. This actually was a good friend of mine, and she was looking in a neighborhood, and her husband and I were talking, and she was out walking dogs. She found a home, and she was like, I love it, I want to buy it. And our leverage was completely gone, right? So we had no ability to kind of negotiate the price down because of the interaction between the seller and the buyer. In most cases it can come out well, but in other cases it could harm you financially, and it could also put you at a disadvantage. So just being careful. And when you insert a professional in between, it allows you to kind of have a buffer between being kind of a jerk and negotiating hard. Let me be the jerk for you, because I'm actually good at that. Anything to add to that, Tucker?
No, I would completely agree. I never recommend people walk this journey by themselves. It's like showing up to court without an attorney. So absolutely. And not even just to mention the terms and, protecting yourself from a price standpoint, but the liability and the things that come along with the contract itself. You need somebody that's a professional at writing those contracts.
Yeah. So in conclusion, if you're looking to buy a home in this very unique market, be ready, be creative, and work with a professional. All right. That's our Real Talk segment. We're going to take a short commercial break. Then we're going to bring Tucker back on. We're going to have a crosstalk on what's going on with the mortgage industry. So come back after this short commercial break.
Are you worried about your health holding up as you age? Buying a new home often involves paying your mortgage for 15 to 30 years, and you'll need to be at your best to keep working strong as you age. Cummins Chiropractic and Wellness has helped families just like yours regain optimum health as they work hard to provide for their family. The team at Cummins Chiropractic and Wellness treats patients with both crisis care and lifestyle care with our state-of-the-art individualized services. We have seen thousands of people reach and maintain their best health as they age. To learn more about how chiropractic can help you achieve your best health, you can call Cummins Chiropractic and Wellness at 425-590-9158 or reach us online at CummonsChiropractic.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. Now for our mortgage moment. There's a lot going on in the mortgage world, so there's always good news. And Tucker, in our pre-show, I kind of looked over some of the topics, and I got to say, this is some pretty interesting stuff. Maybe it's just for us, but I think this will be good. So let's talk about the recent mortgage rate trends. What the heck is going on out there?
Yeah, so great news here is rates have come down a bit. So last week, interest rates dipped to the lowest levels that we've seen really since early February. And it's really providing relief for home buyers and giving them a little bit lower monthly payments for borrowing money, which is huge. And so what we've seen mortgage applications tick up because of that, as people are catching wind that rates are starting to come down. And so that mortgage application demand is starting to surge, and it's definitely going to start to impact competition in our market.
So when you see a mortgage rate come down, what do you foresee for the next, say, 3 to 4 months? Is it gonna just kind of stick around this spot here right now where we're at?
I do. Yeah. Okay. I think we're going to be flat at least through June or July. I think in June or July is when we might start to see a little bit more pressure downward. Really all eyes are on inflation data. That's what the Fed's really concerned with. But what's really kind of the elephant in the room that I think all of us don't really know what the impacts are going to be is the campaign. You know, what's going to happen as they start to use some of this stuff to campaign for the presidency.
Gotcha. So then since you mentioned inflation, let's talk about its impact on mortgage rates.
Yeah, so historically, when inflation rises, mortgage rates tend to follow suit. So cooler inflation, if we slow down the rate of inflation or the price of consumer goods, it'll put less pressure on the Federal Reserve to control inflation, which will allow them to drive or to push rates downward.
Okay, so that's why if things get under control in the inflation game, we're going to see lower interest rates maybe?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if inflation stays where it's at, we're staying where we're at?
Exactly. Yeah, you're going to be in a holding pattern as long as inflation stays here. The Fed controls the overnight spending rate between banks. So they don't really control everything. But if banks borrow money at a higher price, they're going to then charge us consumers higher prices on other programs. So
what is the policy now in the rate hikes that you're going to see in your opinion?
Yeah. So, and really it's, looking to the industry experts right now, we're expecting that the Fed has about a 58% chance to lower rates in June, which is a significant improvement because just a few weeks ago, we thought there was a 0% chance of a decrease in June. We thought the earliest was going to be July. And now we're seeing, more than 50% probability that we'll see the first minor cut in June. So that's really great news. And that's allowing us in our hedging efforts to lower rates already.
Okay. So from a standpoint of, I feel like we're kind of in this nether region, and most buyers at this point should understand that focusing on whether or not the interest rate is going to be higher or lower is really not the name of the game going forward. The name of the game is basically, like we talked about, getting ready, is make sure you have saved up money and that you've done that, because we are seeing a lot of interest in new listings coming on. And that means there's some competition. If you're not ready to go, you're going to run anything. Last thoughts for you, Tucker?
Yeah, I just would like to remind all your viewers and home buyers that when you lock into a 30-year fixed rate mortgage with no prepayment penalty, it's truly the best thing ever. That's the worst payment you will ever have, right? You're not going to refinance because rates go up and you want a higher monthly payment. So to your point, get ready, buy when the monthly payment makes sense, and then watch the rates. And if they come down, refinance in the future. But yeah, buy now, secure the home, and let equity start working for you. And then worry about refinancing to control payment down the road.
I like that. Awesome. Tucker, as always, I appreciate your input. Appreciate you joining us today. We're going to take a short commercial break. Then we're going to welcome our good friend Claudia from the Brilliant Health Institute back on the show. I think she's been here before, so I look forward to hearing her update. Thanks again for your time. We'll be right back after this short break.
You take your car to the shop to check under the hood to make sure everything is working properly. You take your body to your doctor every 6 months for a checkup to ensure you're healthy. You get your teeth cleaned at the dentist often. Okay, well, maybe not often. But what are you doing to make sure your house is staying in tip-top shape? At Key Inspection Services, we value quality, expertise, and education above all else. We inspect all types of homes of any size and age, whether you are buying or selling, or just wanting to learn more about your current home. Our services are designed to be a one-stop shop for all homeowner needs. We offer sewer scopes, air quality testing, mold testing, infrared scans, and more. Whether we are reaching new heights on a roof, traversing the trenches of a crawl space, or having a crappy day scoping your sewer, no pun intended, we strive to give you the best service possible. As the #1 home education and inspection company in the Puget Sound region, our goal is to ensure that you are more knowledgeable about your biggest asset at the end of the day. You can easily book online at www.keyinspectionservices.com or give us a call at 800-748-8766.
Well, welcome back to the show. Our next guest, Claudia, I'm just not going to pronounce her last name because I'm not good at it, is a functional and lifestyle medicine doctor who specializes in energy, gut health, and weight loss, plus longevity. During her family medicine training, she was trained to prioritize hospital and clinic efficiency goals instead of guiding in developmental wellness. It was encouraged to treat pharmaceuticals rather than the underlying issue. So she became frustrated and eventually got burned out. Through her experience as a patient with a complex illness, she had a firsthand experience with the limitations of our current medical system. After transforming her health, Claudia pioneered a revolutionary approach to patient-centered health. She has developed her life to the betterment of healthcare for all. She stands for innovation, practicality, and accountability, and against quick fixes and outdated information. Claudia leads by example and inspires others to take ownership of their health through education and self-love. Please join me in welcoming Claudia to the show. Claudia, welcome back.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Pronounce your last name so that I can hear it.
It's pronounced Arregoytia.
Arregoytia. It will take me many times of hearing it and practicing it to say it. But welcome to the show. Hey, so we're talking weight loss myths. I think this is cool. So Claudia's got a local business here on the east side. You're in Kirkland, right?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Oh, I got to take your banner, put your banner in there. I don't know if I have the right one, but I'll give it a try. Brilliant Health. It's so small. Institute. Brilliant Health Institute. So what are these crazy myths about weight loss?
Yeah. So, one of my specialties is weight loss, permanent weight loss, and some of the things that I've come across that are just, so crazy is when patients tell me like they have certain ideas about what it's going to take to lose weight. And one of the thing is like I have to do excessive exercise. Like I have to be at the gym, cardio, 45 minutes to an hour, like all these things. And I'm like, no, that's not, no, that's great if you're training for a marathon or, your goal is, fitness, but for fat loss, that's the complete opposite. And when
so you're saying to get thinner, don't go to the gym?
100%, 100. I know it sounds crazy. I know it's
perfect.
It sounds crazy.
No, all week. So awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So when you this is over exercise. Now I would encourage, regular exercise that is going to induce a healing state. What are these exercises that induce healing state? Walking, yoga, those and biking, but like leisure biking, not like this Peloton,
like bike where you just kind of press the button and be like, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so like those sit down bikes where it's just not like, like it's just rolling, just moving your legs really. So that's the only exercise. Now, when you do excessive exercise, what happens is that you induce an inflammatory stress and you actually start to secrete stress hormones that are actually going to work against you in terms of losing fat. Now, normally when you exercise and you're doing excessive exercise, you're going to produce a slight inflammation that your body is going to use to adapt, right? And that's why you increase your fitness by going hard. Yeah, when you're doing something really hard, your body's going to adapt, and that's what you want. You want stronger muscles. You want to run faster. But for fat loss, that's not what you want. You don't want to be releasing stress hormones or cause inflammation, because that's just going to cause you to not only make it hard on yourself in terms of fat loss, it's also going to cause you to now be hungry. So your hunger hormones are going to go up because you're doing a lot of exercise. So now hunger signals are going to be going up, and that's going to
So
be,
then you end up eating more than you should.
exactly. And when you're doing like excessive exercise, you should be eating a diet that's going to be supplementing that. And if but like for fat loss, now we're just talking about fat loss. Nope. You gotta take it easy so your body is not inflamed and it's easy to lose the fat.
Okay, so let's talk about plateaus. I have a friend that's doing 70 hard, and 2 workouts a day and eating super right and all this stuff.
Mm.
He showed some good weight loss actually, but he's hit a plateau. What do you think the reasons are for that?
Yeah, so for plateaus, generally you want to look at added sugars in the diet somehow. So that's what you want to look at. And even stevia, something like an artificial sweetener, even those things can prohibit someone from losing weight, because when the body receives the signal of sugar, specifically added sugars from fruit, eating fresh fruit, it's not the same thing. But if it's manufactured sugar like sugarcane sugar and that kind of stuff, the body receives the signal of increasing insulin, and then that's going to make it hard. So I would say look at where you're adding sugar, and if there's any sugar in there, just take it out.
So the
Even
sugar could be causing the plateau. Is there anything else?
yeah. So the other things could be hormone changes. For women, it's usually hormone changes. Yeah, there's going to be some hormone changes, but the other thing that is going to cause somebody to be in the plateau, and I think for a man, I think your friend's a man.
I am a man. Yes.
So it's usually stress. So what can cause stress, right? So if you're not sleeping enough, again, you're going to release stress hormones, and you're not going to be able to lose. You could be starving yourself.
I got one of these things here called the Whoop. Have you seen that?
I see it.
And I see when I have bad sleep. I can totally see the bad sleep, and I can see the stress related to the bad sleep. And so it's one of those things where right now I'm mostly data gathering than actually trying to impact anything. but man, I can tell, my days are night and day when I get a good night's sleep. Yeah, recovery and sleep.
Yeah.
So talk to us about how weight loss works.
Yeah. So, you mentioned, somebody that was really working really hard. And yeah, you can do that. Your body's going to lose weight doing that for sure. At some point, you're going to stop losing weight because of all the factors that were working against you. But the way that weight loss or fat loss works is basically you induce a healing state for the body. And when you induce a healing state for the body, your body will just release what it doesn't need. It just naturally does that. And so that's the main way that I help people with weight loss, is just induce the healing state, which is going to be inducing the parasympathetic state. So instead of doing the sympathetic state, which I think most of America is under, like chronic stress, so fight and flight, where your body senses, for example, there's a bear, right? So you're going to be secreting a bunch of stress hormones, and that's going to cause insulin to increase. It's going to cause you to crave sugar. It's going to cause all kinds of things for you to hold on to body weight. And when you shift the body into the parasympathetic state, that's a healing state. That's the state of relaxation, of digestion, creativity, connection with other human beings. When you induce that state, the body heals, and it's this very natural thing that happens.
So this is a part of what you do as a service to your clients, is you help them to develop a plan to put themselves into this positive healing state, which helps reduce. So I you're not going to give us the entire program, but what's like kind of the favorite tips from this program?
Yeah. So my favorite tips are, well, one is getting sleep, getting high quality sleep. Again, if you're getting high quality sleep, everything changes. Your hormones become regulated, and it's just going to maximize your ability to release fat. If you're not getting enough sleep, it's just going to cause a bunch of stress hormones to come into the situation.
So how much sleep is the right amount of sleep?
I tell my patients to sleep, prioritize sleep 8 to 9 hours a day.
8 to 9.
Uh-huh.
And if you, by my calculations, I have to go to bed at 8 o'clock if I want to get up at 5:30.
Good
So
Lord.
just laying in bed, like staring at the ceiling, does that count as sleep?
No.
Dang it.
No.
So how does somebody get into that mode?
Well, I help them. So, I mean, understand there's people that, lifestyle wise, if you have a very, very demanding lifestyle, I would say, prioritize 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Now, if you want to lose as much fat as possible within a short span of time, I would say go for 8 to 9, just 8 to 9.
That's so counterintuitive. So then you got to give me another tip, because if sleep is impossible, what else do I got?
Okay. The other thing is I would recommend food, giving the signal to the body of food abundance, not the signal of
Food scarcity.
scarcity. Yeah, because when your body senses like scarcity, it's going to hold on to things. It's going to hold, instead of releasing things and letting energy move in the way that it should, it's going to hold on to anything it can, because you're starving me. Oh, Tucker's asking questions. Yeah, water is good too. Let me get into that too as well. But yeah, so abundance is you got to send a signal of abundance. And how did you do that? We'll eat a bunch of vegetables. That's how you do that. You basically want to eat as many vegetables as you can before you even get to your protein and the rest of your food.
Okay, so max out on veggies. Now, somebody told me that they did a challenge of 800 grams of vegetables a day. I can't even imagine what 800 grams of spinach looks like. It's got to be like a boxcar load of spinach. but like, what's the guideline, like, in order to do this abundance on vegetables?
Yeah, I would say, in my plan is something for like life, for a lifetime. So it has to be sustainable. So you have to be able to do
I
this,
love that.
And so what I would say is 2 handfuls of whatever the heck it is you're eating for vegetables. 2 handfuls, put it in there. 2 handfuls, whether it be carrots, whatever, whatever it is. 2 handfuls, eat all of that first, and you will see the big difference.
So then is it a balance of hit those vegetables and then protein, and then if you got space, carbs at the end, or is it really going to be texturized for everybody? Texturized model.
Yeah, it really depends on the person. So I help people come up with their what I call their lifetime plan. So it really depends. Now, everybody is so different, but say a very athletic person might need more like complex carbohydrates. I'm talking about beans, sweet potatoes, things like that, peas, things like that. So
Okay.
people who are like high metabolizers, they usually need a little of some more of that, some more of that in their diet. But this is the other thing I found that is a big myth, is that most people interpret carbs as refined grains. So we're talking about bread, pastries, things like that, when in reality, carbs are vegetables and fruit, right? So yeah, that's literally carbs. It's vegetables and fruit. Now we kind of went a little crazy with it, and started to do breads and things like that. But yeah, those are carbs. Those are carbs.
Okay. Now you've got a bunch more questions, and what I do want to do is be mindful of everybody's time, because I want you to follow up with Claudia if you have like some specific questions about this. So let's talk about your treatment. What does your treatment look like with regards to this situation?
Yeah, when I look at helping somebody with weight loss, well, number one, I believe that the body has intrinsic intrinsic um, signs and determination for health. It's already in us. The body wants to be healthy. So number one is, okay, so why isn't your body healthy? Well, one is because it's in an unhealthy environment. So what I help people do is extract these unhealthy things that are keeping you from becoming healthy, and then I add what is needed, like a flour. So I take away all the poison, and I add, all the fertilizer and all the love, and then it's just a natural thing that happens. Now, a lot of it though is like, education with nutrition. Um, because it's a very common thing. Like, I'm a doctor, and I thought I knew what nutrition was. You know, that I was just came to the rude awakening that I had no idea. And so a lot of it is educating people as well about how different foods impact the body. A lot of people, for example, don't know that gluten and dairy, actually, when metabolized by the liver, release opiate-like substances. So a lot of people are addicted to this stuff, and so I have to wean them off of that stuff, and then it's very inflammatory as well. So, anyways, it's a lot of food education and whatnot. Again, I want to remove anything that's inflammatory or anything that's causing a signal of disease from the body, so that it can flourish. So that's how I help people. It's all nutrition based. I'm not going to ask people to exercise. As a matter of fact, I'm going to ask you to stop exercising and make time to eat, because I'm going to ask you to eat a lot. Okay. I'm going to ask you. That's
interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting. So typically somebody comes in to sets up a time to meet with you, comes into the clinic or your office, and then you do a diagnostic test, and then you build a plan. How long does that process take? I mean, obviously it's not a one meeting thing. It's a process. How long does that typically take?
Yeah. So, my weight loss program is a group-based program. So that one is like a 12-week group program. Now, if you wanted to see me, say, for like a clinical issue where you want like a one-on-one with a clinician to diagnose and treat a situation, I would say the whole process from start to finish, it's going to take about 6 months or so, 6 to 7 months. And the reason being is because it does actually take the gut lining to heal. It takes at least 6 months to heal the gut lining. And as a functional medicine doctor, we believe that all disease comes from the gut being in some kind of malfunction or dysfunction, and also inflammation. So it takes at least that long for that to get sorted. So usually I see turnaround transformations of health within the 6-month period of time. And so, anyways, that's why I have my program, at 7 months long, because that's usually how I see the transformation take place. And of course, I do have all the visits included in that.
Okay. So then how do folks get a hold of you, Claudia?
Yeah, you can get a hold of me on at my email. It's hello@brillianthealthinstitute.com. And you can also call me at 425-553-2937. And also wanted to let you know, I do have a free webinar at the end of the month. It's called I think it's called Ignite Your Metabolism. And I'm going to be talking more about, how my plan works and how people can, start losing weight now. And then also have a 5-pound challenge at the end of the month. So we help people in a matter of 5 days. I will help people lose some fat.
Well, Claudia, you've opened my eyes a little bit to kind of a little bit of a different approach to this, is putting yourself in that healing state, and leading with abundance by filling your body full of the good things. Therefore, you're not stuffing it with the other stuff. Because I know once or twice, maybe I've been to Chick-fil-A and I walked away like an hour later. I was like, why am I still hungry? Because there's no nutrients in there. But bringing Tucker back to the show. Tucker, thanks so much for being on. Claudia, I appreciate it. And Claudia, if you will send me when that workshop is, so that I can put that into the description of our YouTube post, we'll make sure that you get that out. I appreciate you all joining us. And I want you guys to all have a great week. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you so much. Bye.